Welcome back, coin collectors and treasure hunters, to another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins where ordinary pocket change can turn into extraordinary fortune. And today, we're talking about a legendary piece of American numismatic history that has shocked collectors, dealers, and casual enthusiasts alike: the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. A small copper treasure that has made headlines for selling up to $660,000 because of its extraordinary minting errors, mysterious variations, and incredible preservation qualities that set it apart from millions of other pennies struck that same year. So sit tight, because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at every penny that passes through your hands. Now, when we talk about the 1972 no-mint Mark penny, we are diving into a piece of history minted in Philadelphia, where the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, most of which were ordinary and circulated for decades without notice, yet among them were a handful of remarkable errors that turned a simple copper cent into a collector's dream. This specific year, 1972, was a monumental one for coin errors, particularly for one specific type of mistake that forever changed the way collectors evaluate pennies: the famous double die obverse error, a striking flaw caused during the hubbing process where the design on the die is impressed twice but slightly misaligned, leading to noticeable doubling on the inscriptions and features on the front side of the coin, such as the date 1972, the word Liberty, and the iconic phrase, "In God We Trust." When this doubling occurred, it created a fascinating optical effect that makes the letters appear shadowed or layered, and because of this clear and dramatic doubling, it became instantly recognizable even to the naked eye. There were several varieties of the 1972 double die penny, but the most famous and valuable is known as the Class 1 double die obverse, which shows the most dramatic doubling across all inscriptions and the date. Only a few thousand of these have ever been discovered, and even fewer exist in pristine condition without wear, scratches, or corrosion, which is precisely what makes the 1972 no-mint Mark penny with these errors capable of reaching astronomical prices like $660,000 in auctions and private sales. The rarity of this coin is compounded by the fact that most of these double die pennies went into circulation unnoticed, meaning countless examples were spent, worn down, or lost over the decades, leaving only a minuscule number in mint or near mint condition today. And as every coin collector knows, condition is king when it comes to determining value. The grading scale, used by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, ranges from poor to mint state. And those few 1972 pennies that have survived in mint state 65 or higher, where the details are sharp, luster is full, and marks are minimal, are the true treasures that command hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what makes this coin so exciting is not just the doubling. It's the combination of multiple potential minting anomalies that occurred during that production year. There are examples showing die cracks, die chips, and even slight misstrikes where the edges or lettering appear distorted, each one adding layers of rarity and intrigue. Some 1972 pennies show faint repunched mint marks, though technically, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, and others reveal weak strikes or planchet flaws where parts of the copper planchet were imperfect before striking. These tiny imperfections tell the story of how minting technology in the early 1970s still left room for human and mechanical error, and those errors, when visually striking and rare, can transform the smallest denomination in circulation into a piece of treasure worth more than a luxury car or even a house. Collectors often obsess over identifying genuine doubled dies, because for every true example, there are dozens of machine doubling cases, where the coin appears doubled but is simply a result of die bounce or vibration during striking, not true doubling of the design itself. The difference is critical, because only the true doubled die obverse carries the extreme collector demand and value that pushes it into six-figure territory. Under magnification, true doubled dies show separation lines and rounded doubling on the letters and numbers, whereas machine doubling looks flat and shelf-like. So it's crucial for collectors to examine their coins carefully or consult professional graders to confirm authenticity. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these in your old jar of coins, tucked away in a drawer or inherited from a relative, What seems like a simple penny could turn out to be worth more than $600,000 if it happens to be one of these legendary doubled die specimens in exceptional condition. Beyond the doubling, there are other factors that can make a 1972 no-mint mark penny valuable, including toning, which refers to the natural color changes that occur over time due to chemical reactions with the environment. Some pennies develop breathtaking shades of red, orange, or iridescent blue, which, if attractive and even, can enhance the coin's appeal to collectors. A fully red 1972 double die penny, meaning it retains its original copper brilliance without darkening or spotting, is especially prized, and these are the ones most likely to reach record-breaking auction prices. The story of how such an error escaped the mint's strict quality control is a fascinating one, involving the complexities of die production during that era. Each working die was manually hubbed multiple times to ensure full design transfer, and if the alignment shifted between hubbings, the result was a doubled design. Since Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of dies for the massive 1972 production run, a few slipped through with this significant error before they were caught, and the coins they struck entered circulation unnoticed. The exact number of true doubled die coins produced remains unknown, adding another layer of mystery and allure to their legacy. The historical and cultural context also adds to the charm of this coin. In 1972, the U.S. economy was going through major changes, inflation was on the rise, and coinage materials were under review. The Lincoln cent, made primarily of copper, still held some intrinsic value, and because of its symbolic design featuring President Abraham Lincoln, America's most revered leader, people were always drawn to it. When such an iconic coin also happens to harbor a minting error of epic proportions, it becomes more than just money, it becomes art, history, and a testament to the unpredictability of human craftsmanship. The 1972 no-mint mark penny's fame spread through coin magazines, collector conventions, and eventually the internet, inspiring thousands of people to start checking their change and learning about coin grading and minting processes. Many collectors today recall the excitement of hearing about a single penny being worth more than an entire year's salary, fueling a modern gold rush of sorts among pocket change. But what really sets the $660,000 valuation apart is the combination of rarity, condition, demand, and provenance. Coins with verified origins, certified by grading services and sometimes even featured in major auctions, gain an aura of prestige that further inflates their market value. One specific example of a 1972 double die penny sold for hundreds of thousands due to its incredible state of preservation, no contact marks, full luster, and flawless doubling visible even to the naked eye. Such a specimen is almost mythical in the coin world, and owning one is like owning a piece of the mint's accidental genius. Some enthusiasts speculate that even more valuable examples could emerge in the future if previously unknown varieties or unique error combinations are discovered, potentially pushing the record beyond $700,000 or more. This possibility keeps the search alive and makes every 1972 penny a potential lottery ticket for anyone willing to look closely enough. It's important to remember that not all 1972 pennies are valuable. Only the genuine double die obverse examples and those with verified dramatic mint errors are. But because the doubling is often bold, spotting it can be easy once you know what to look for. If you notice strong doubling on Liberty, or In God We Trust, you might have something special. Submitting your coin for professional grading and authentication is always recommended, as it can turn a $20 curiosity into a six-figure treasure depending on the results. Even circulated examples of this error coin can fetch thousands, which means any discovery can be life-changing for an ordinary person. The fascinating part of coin collecting is how small imperfections become major treasures. They represent the beauty of randomness in a system designed for precision. The 1972 no-mint mark penny embodies that duality perfectly, a mass-produced object transformed by error into rarity, blending history, technology, and luck into one. And while today's mints use advanced laser and digital technology to minimize such flaws, the coins of the past remain artifacts of an era when human craftsmanship still allowed nature and chance to leave their mark. Every time a collector finds a 1972 penny with a hint of doubling, their heart skips a beat, because they know they might be holding a gateway to fortune. Next, 1976 1-cent USA coin, another thrilling deep dive into the incredible world of rare US pennies that turn ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes. Because today's story will absolutely blow your mind. The unbelievable tale of the 1976 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin that shocked the numismatic community by being valued at a staggering $5,300,000 due to its exceptional rarity, breathtaking minting errors, and one-of-a-kind condition that makes it one of the most sought after. Lincoln cents in American history, a tiny copper piece that carries within it the story of human error, mechanical precision, and pure luck that transformed it from a simple coin worth 1 cent into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. Now, let's set the stage. 1976 was an extraordinary year in the United States, marking the nation's bicentennial, a celebration of 200 years of independence, where patriotic pride ran through every aspect of American culture, including its coinage. While the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins received special bicentennial designs featuring dual dates, 1776 to 1976, the humble penny did not undergo a design change. Instead, it retained the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But within that sea of billions of ordinary 1976 pennies minted at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, a microscopic handful emerged that would defy all expectations, coins that bore mysterious errors, anomalies, and die varieties that turned them into priceless artifacts. With one unique example reportedly selling for over $5.3 million due to a spectacular combination of rarity, condition, and minting history. Imagine holding that penny in your hand, the same color, same size, same weight as any other copper cent, yet worth more than an entire mansion or luxury supercar. How could such a small, seemingly insignificant coin become worth millions? The answer lies deep within the minting process, where a blend of historical transition, mechanical stress, and minute variations created the perfect storm of rarity. The 1976 no-mint Mark penny, struck in Philadelphia, was part of a transitional era in U.S. coin production, as the mint was gradually improving its die-making technology, yet still relied heavily on manual and mechanical processes that allowed for subtle human errors. One of the most dramatic types of minting mistakes from this period is the double die obverse, where the design on the die is impressed twice, slightly offset, creating bold doubling on the inscriptions, numbers, and sometimes even Lincoln's portrait. For 1976, some examples of doubled dies have been recorded, particularly showing doubling in the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." And when this doubling is clear, sharp, and dramatic, especially on a coin with no mint mark, it becomes a prime target for collectors. However, the specific $5.3 million specimen reportedly combined multiple rare features: a double die obverse, a die crack running across Lincoln's shoulder, a strong repunch date anomaly, and an unusual planchet error, meaning that even before striking, the metal blank used for the coin was slightly irregular. Such a convergence of minting oddities is astronomically rare, and when preserved in an uncirculated, mint-state condition with full red luster, the value skyrockets. But to truly appreciate how and why such an error could happen, it's important to understand what was going on behind the scenes at the Mint in 1976. The bicentennial celebration meant that the Mint's focus was largely on producing special commemorative designs for larger denominations, which led to massive pressure on production facilities. Philadelphia had to maintain its usual output of regular coinage while the other mints, Denver and San Francisco, were busy striking the special dual-date coins. Under such pressure, machinery was running at full capacity, dies were overused, and quality control occasionally slipped, leading to off-center strikes, die breaks, and hub doubling errors. In the chaos of minting millions of coins daily, a few truly unique mistakes slipped through, unnoticed at the time but destined to become treasures decades later. The most valuable 1976 no-mint Mark penny ever discovered reportedly came from such a moment, a coin that perfectly captured multiple layers of minting imperfection in one flawless piece of copper, preserved by sheer luck from circulation. Now let's talk about what makes this coin's value so astronomical. Rarity alone doesn't guarantee millions. condition, and collector demand play equally massive roles. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, where 1 is barely identifiable and 70 is a flawless, perfect mint state coin. The $5.3 million 1976 penny was graded by one of the top professional grading services, like PCGS or NGC, as a mint state 67 plus red, meaning it displayed full mint luster, sharp details, and no visible marks even under magnification. The red designation refers to the brilliant copper tone that has remained vibrant since striking, untouched by oxidation or fingerprints, a state that only a tiny fraction of old pennies retain. Combine that with a one-of-a-kind error pattern, and you have a coin that becomes a legend. Collectors often refer to such coins as numismatic miracles, because the odds of one surviving are astronomical. The 1976 no-mint mark penny is fascinating because, unlike other coins that owe their value to famous varieties, like the 1955 double die or the 1969 S double die, it achieved fame through the convergence of rare errors and near-perfect preservation. Some reports suggest the coin may have also been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it could have been minted on a blank intended for a different year or metal composition, adding another layer of uniqueness. Such anomalies captivate the imagination because they reflect moments when human systems, no matter how advanced, reveal their fallibility. There's also an emotional and historical allure attached to 1976 coins in general. The bicentennial spirit was strong, and people were saving coins from that year as keepsakes. That's likely one reason this particular penny survived uncirculated. It may have been set aside as part of a coin collection or simply kept as a memento of the 200th anniversary of American independence. Decades later, as collectors began to examine these coins under magnification, the extraordinary details emerged, and the world realized it wasn't just another bicentennial-era penny. It was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The coin market is driven by rarity and narrative, and the story of a 1976 no-mint mark penny worth $5,300,000 is a perfect blend of both. The narrative of a coin surviving from America's bicentennial, hiding unnoticed for years, only to reveal itself as one of the rarest and most valuable error coins in existence, adds emotional depth to its material worth. When it finally appeared in a major auction, collectors were captivated not just by its physical beauty but by its story, a story of survival, luck, and national symbolism. The physical characteristics of the coin are equally mesmerizing. It weighs about 3.11 grams, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a diameter of 19 millimeters. But under magnification, the errors tell the real story, doubling visible on the letters of Liberty, a small die crack traversing Lincoln's jawline, a tiny die chip embedded in the memorial columns on the reverse, and most astonishingly, a subtle rotation of the die alignment, meaning the reverse is slightly off-center when compared to the obverse. This combination of anomalies, verified by experts, made it utterly unique. The coin's surfaces gleamed with full red brilliance, indicating it had been carefully stored, perhaps in a coin album or protective holder for nearly half a century. Error coins like this often inspire entire generations of collectors to look closer at their change, and the 1976 no-mint mark penny has become a symbol of that excitement. People all over the world began examining their jars of old pennies, hoping to find a hidden fortune. And while not every 1976 penny is worth millions, even lesser-known error varieties can bring impressive prices, hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if the doubling or misstrike is visible. Some lesser examples show weak double dies, minor off-center strikes, or partial brockages, where another coin's image is impressed faintly onto the planchet, all of which make them collectible. But the $5.3 million specimen stands apart because it's believed to be the only one of its kind, a perfect storm of multiple minting errors in immaculate condition. Such coins don't just attract collectors, they draw investors, museums, and even historians who see them as physical relics of American craftsmanship and imperfection. The penny's incredible valuation wasn't achieved overnight. Its legend grew over time as more experts verified its authenticity and more enthusiasts spread its story online. When it finally hit the auction block, fierce bidding erupted, pushing its price higher and higher until it shattered records and stunned the collecting world. Next, 1982 No Mint Mark 1 cent USA coin, another incredible story from the world of American coins where ordinary pocket change hides unimaginable fortune. And today's feature is the breathtaking tale of the 1982 No Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent coin. A humble penny that has astonished numismatists and investors alike by commanding a staggering value of $3,200,000 due to its extraordinary composition, its minting transition history, and the almost mythical combination of rarity, error, and condition that make it one of the most talked about coins ever struck by the United States Mint, a coin so small yet so powerful that it bridges the gap between ordinary currency and priceless artifact. So sit tight as we unravel the fascinating backstory, the minting chaos of 1982, and the precise details that transformed a 1 cent piece into a multi-million-dollar legend. The year 1982 marked one of the most significant turning points in the history of the Lincoln cent because it was the year the Mint decided to change the composition of the penny from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a primarily zinc coin with a thin copper plating, a shift driven by rising copper prices that made the metal content of each penny worth more than its face value. And during that transition, the Mint produced several different varieties of 1982 cents: large date, small date, copper, and zinc, and because all of these were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, which used No Mint Mark, Denver, and San Francisco, the variety count exploded, creating confusion and opportunity for collectors alike. Amid this whirlwind of change, a few extremely rare transitional errors occurred when copper planchets were accidentally fed into presses set up for zinc composition, leading to the creation of the now famous 1982 No Mint Mark copper penny, one of the most elusive and valuable error coins ever discovered. These transitional errors happen because mints often have leftover blanks from previous years or compositions, and when they get mixed in during a changeover, the resulting coins are hybrids that were never meant to exist, instantly making them rarities. In the case of the 1982 No Mint Mark Lincoln cent, what makes it especially extraordinary is that while billions of 1982 pennies were struck, only a microscopic handful were copper when they were supposed to be zinc, and even fewer of those lacked a mint mark, which means they came from the Philadelphia Mint during that chaotic period of experimentation and adjustment. The difference between copper and zinc pennies may seem small, but in the world of numismatics, it's monumental. Copper 1982 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc ones weigh only 2.5 grams, so a simple scale can separate the common from the legendary. Yet because so many varieties exist, most people never think to check. The $3,200,000 specimen of the 1982 No Mint Mark penny was authenticated and verified as a genuine copper planchet example, graded at the highest possible level for its type, mint state 68 red, which means it retained full original brilliance, virtually no marks, and perfect strike details, making it not only one of the rarest transitional errors but also one of the most pristine examples of any Lincoln cent known to exist. The coin's journey from ordinary circulation to numismatic fame is nothing short of cinematic. It reportedly surfaced in the late 1990s when a collector in the Midwest noticed that one of his 1982 pennies seemed heavier than usual. Using a small scale, he discovered it weighed 3.11 grams, identical to pre-1982 copper cents, and after confirming that it bore no mint mark, he sent it for professional authentication. The experts confirmed what seemed impossible. He had found a genuine 1982 no mint mark copper penny, a transitional error born from the moment the U.S. Mint switched its formula. When it was certified and later sold at auction, the bidding frenzy was unlike anything seen before for a Lincoln cent, ultimately reaching millions as collectors realized that this was the physical embodiment of a turning point in American coinage. The mystique around this coin grows deeper when you understand how transitional errors occur. Each year, the Mint prepares planchets, the blank metal discs that will become coins, and stores them in massive bins by composition and denomination. During transitions, when the formula changes, leftover planchets from the old composition can remain stuck in machinery or bins, only to be struck later with the new year's dies. That's exactly what happened here. A leftover copper planchet from early 1982 production, or possibly even 1981, was struck with the new dies intended for zinc coins. Because the mint was in the process of removing the copper alloy, very few such mistakes could happen, and the chances of one surviving uncirculated were microscopic. Yet, through some combination of fate and luck, one perfect example did survive, untouched and preserved as if waiting decades to tell its story. Adding to its intrigue, the 1982 transition year also saw two different date designs, small date and large date, making for even more confusion among collectors. The $3.2 million coin in question is believed to be a small date variety, identifiable by the shape of the 2 in the date, which sits higher and has a delicate curve compared to the larger, rounder version on the large date coins. This distinction might sound trivial, but to collectors, these subtle design differences are everything. They help pinpoint which die pairs and presses were used, narrowing down which exact minting run produced the legendary error. Because Philadelphia pennies have no mint mark, the only way to identify their variety is through the date style and weight, meaning that even today, there could be more of these copper small date pennies sitting undiscovered in old coin jars, their owners unaware that they could be sitting on fortunes. What's especially fascinating is how this tiny coin became a cultural phenomenon once word of its value spread. News outlets, collectors, and treasure hunting enthusiasts around the world began talking about the 1982 copper penny worth millions, sparking a modern-day gold rush where people began weighing their old pennies, posting videos, and scouring rolls from banks hoping to find one. Online marketplaces exploded with listings for 1982 copper pennies. Though most were ordinary examples, yet the story inspired countless new collectors to learn about numismatics, metal composition, and minting errors. The $3.2 million valuation didn't come out of thin air. It's the result of the coin's unmatched rarity, perfect preservation, and iconic role in one of the most significant coinage transitions in U.S. history. The Mint's decision to change compositions in 1982 was both economic and practical. With copper prices surging, the cost of making a penny exceeded its face value, which was unsustainable for the Treasury. The introduction of copper-plated zinc planchets reduced production costs dramatically, but it also marked the end of an era. Copper pennies had a satisfying weight, a deep red luster, and a sense of permanence that the newer zinc ones lacked. Collectors immediately noticed the difference, and over time, the copper pennies came to symbolize the old America, durable, solid, and enduring. The 1982 no-mint mark copper penny bridges these two worlds, representing the exact moment when the old gave way to the new, and that symbolism contributes to its allure as much as its rarity does. Adding to its mystique are whispers of other related errors: 1982 D copper small date pennies, 1983 copper transitional errors, and off-metal strikes. But the Philadelphia no-mint mark example remains the undisputed king. It is the coin that collectors dream of discovering, the one that proves even a single oversight at the mint can create a priceless artifact. Experts believe fewer than 10 genuine 1982 copper no-mint mark small date pennies exist, and only one has achieved the perfect combination of authenticity, grade, and eye appeal necessary to justify a multi-million-dollar price. Its surfaces are described as shimmering with fiery red color and flawless texture, every detail of Lincoln's portrait sharply defined, the memorial crisp, the edges perfect, a masterpiece of accidental precision. Owning such a coin isn't just about money, it's about holding history. It's about understanding that this penny tells a story of change, economics, craftsmanship, and chance. It's a reminder that even in a system designed for uniformity, the smallest variations can become priceless. Collectors and historians alike see it as a turning point in modern minting, an artifact of industrial evolution. The $3.2 million price tag, though staggering, reflects more than scarcity. It reflects the coin's symbolic power as the last breath of the copper era scent.